When it comes to entertainment, it's a time-honoured tradition to put a bunch of young, quirky kids in mortal danger, from solving supernatural mysteries to uncovering the dark secrets in all around them. And Netflix has given us one of the best takes on this classic formula. As tragedy strikes a small American town, it's up to a small group of kids to uncover the hidden history of their town as they are forced to confront forces of unknown evil from another dimension. With this, you may be wondering, he's talking about Stranger Things. But what if I told you that I am in fact referring to a different show entirely, which I believe to be on par, if not better? I introduce to you Locke and Key. Locke and Key stars the Locke family, Nina and her 3 kids, Bodhi, the youngest and energetic brother, Kinsey, an anxious girl who struggles to make friends, and Tyler, the popular yet closed-off eldest brother. As they relocate to an old family home in Massachusetts after the tragic and untimely death of their father, the show cold opens with a distressing conversation over the phone between 2 characters, with the man we are following spontaneously combusting as he takes his own life with a magical key. With his home burning to a crisp, we are left wondering the context of this exchange, from which we will only find answers when the story unfolds. The story proper begins with the Locke family driving up to their new home, the aptly named Key House. Meeting them there is their Uncle Duncan, brother to the now deceased father of the 3 kids. As the family gets settled in, Bodhi encounters an old well house, and while taking pictures he drops one of his Polaroids down the well, only to have it reappear at the top. Speaking down the well, he gets a response, spooking him.
Hello? Hello? Are you my echo?
Yes, I am Bodhi.
And as he tells the family, they obviously don't believe him, ending the night. Tyler and Kinsey are off to high school the next morning, dreading the interactions and inquiries about their tragedy that they will have to endure. Tyler is off to join the hockey team, as it's what he did back in Seattle, while Kinsey is left alone as Tyler chooses to distance himself from her at school, making her feel alone and anxious, fitting as this is the core of her character arc throughout the season. Kinsey is being a nervous wreck, being passive-aggressive and sitting in some hidden corner at lunch, unable to choose pieces of artwork for her applications. But as fate would have it, the nice ice cream confectioner she met the other day decides to introduce himself as Scott with 1T, and invite her to hang out with his crew in spite of their shaky meeting the other day. Without school, Bodhi is left in the Key House alone as Nina is out shopping for supplies in order to fix up the house. Bodhi visits the well again and talks to the, as we will now refer to her, the well lady, or what she refers to herself as, an echo. She talks of the magical keys and whispers that lead Bodhi into looking for them around the estate. After looking around a bit, he hears the whispers and finds the Anywhere key found in Kinsey's brass bracelet, taking it apart in the process. The Anywhere key allows its user to teleport through any door they have previously seen, testing it by travelling to the ice cream parlour.
There's no way.
You're Kinsey's brother, right? Your sister?
Am I here?
However, when Kinsey discovers that her bracelet has been broken, Bodhi fails to prove its magical abilities, as they try to go to the Eiffel Tower, but it doesn't work due to there being no doors on the Eiffel Tower.
Did you find any keys?
I found that Anywhere key you told me about, but it only worked for me, not Kinsey. She couldn't go to the Eiffel Tower.
Have you ever seen a door at the Eiffel Tower?
No.
After which both Kinsey and Tyler are invited to different gatherings, Tyler a large party and Kinsey a small movie night gathering with Scott with 1T's friends/film group. Whilst out, the two both are haunted by their trauma. Tyler, with albeit on the nose dialogue, blames himself for his father's death, with a version of the killer just standing there in shot.
I can't forget that it's all your fault. That he's dead.
No. Something like having him be a reflection in the window and having a ghostly voice would have touched up the scene quite a bit in my opinion. But nonetheless, whilst Kinsey is burdened with the idea that she was too scared to do anything during their father's murder and just hid under the table with Bodhi, leading to both of them leaving their respective outings and meeting up, Tyler driving them both home. While searching for more keys, Bodhi discovers the mirror key hidden in the garbage disposal, which was foreshadowed earlier in the episode.
Ride drops in Seattle? Guys, same team. Omelets? Section free? I'm hungry.
The key, he is told by the well lady, allows its user to commune with the dead, and is told to show his mother the key. However, when the key is inserted into a mirror, a person's reflection seems to come to life, leading whoever they're mirroring into the mirror, trapping them, Bodhi runs over to the well, seeking help after his mother is caught in a mirror, but the well lady reveals that she was deceiving him the entire time, acquiring the Anywhere key, explaining that the mirror key in fact traps his victims instead. With some quick thinking, Bodhi takes some rope, running into his siblings along the way to the mirror, revealing the magic to them. They come together and rescue their mother, with Tyler going in with the rope attached to his waist, finding his mother through sound rather than sight, as the mirror dimension distorts their visual abilities. After making it out the mirror, Nina doesn't remember the event taking place, leaving only the three kids with the knowledge of what transpired. One of the show's great strengths across season 1 is its pacing, as throughout the 10 episodes we also follow the well lady, who we later learn that Dodge is her real name, and is after a certain key within the house, creating an ongoing mystery and constant threat throughout the story. And as a villain, she is one that you just love to hate, as she constantly does heinous things just because she wants to, like killing whoever she feels like at the time, including a young boy who possesses one of the keys, a matchstick key which allows the user to create fire, creating a doorway to an oncoming train just to shove him through.
Whoa, what the hell?
Actual unnecessary evil. With that, you may ask, if she is willing to kill and has the power and means to do so, why doesn't she take the key she wants? Well, the writers have thought of this. Dodge is bound by some sort of curse where she cannot steal any of the keys from the locks, and has to have them be willingly handed over, to which she manipulates Bodhi to do so in the first episode. Along with the fact that the locks seem to be the only ones who can hear the whispers, in turn they are the only ones who can find the keys easily. Each episode typically follows the same structure, Bodhi finding a key while Kinsey and Tyler are at school, sometimes testing it himself or waiting for everyone to convene later. Discovering a new key keeps the story fresh, as it leads to creative powers and uses of those abilities, such as the music box and the key, which allow its user to control others, or the ghost key, which, if you go through a certain door in the house, you can astral project and commune with the dead, or at least those who choose to hang around in the living realm. But the most important key is the head key, which allows its user and others to travel into someone's mind, tailor-made for each individual. I want to take a pause to admire the various and immaculate sets for the show, as it's astounding, from the key house itself to all the mindscapes we travel to, including an enormous arcade for Bodhi, or a highly organised mall for Kinsey, as well as some others I won't spoil. The reason the head key in particular is the most important is because it's one of the keys that Dodge is after, but more importantly to what we're talking about, it's the catalyst for Kinsey's character development in this season. After struggling with her trauma at school and the film group, Kinsey decides to go into her own mind, literally removing her fear with the head key, burying it in the woods, leaving her extremely confident and taking more and more reckless actions. In another show, this choice would have been left with no resolution, just a cheap reason to have a character change without putting in the work for development. But here every action has a consequence. At first, things seem to be going positively for Kinsey, as she was able to choose a project for her art submission, and even take a more active role in pursuing a relationship with Scott, even having the rest of the film group take a liking to the new personality that she has, including the monster actor, Gabe, who we will come back to later. However, as time goes on, it shows a negative side of living without fear, as she insults her mother to her face, telling Scott and eventually Gabe about the keys, using the music box against the school bully, continuing the prank even after Scott, who they were originally doing this for, protests the action. Ultimately, this leads Kinsey to take the entire film group down to the sea caves, which she knows is dangerous, so they can film. However, this is just a pretense, so Kinsey could explore the caves, as Tyler had refused to help after he finds out that she abused the power of the keys. This leads to the group being trapped as the tide comes in, forcing everyone to leave their expensive equipment and having to swim under the tunnels in order to escape. This puts a wedge between her and the group, as they all leave with Scott cutting ties. Except, throughout all of this confident Kinsey arc, she's been getting along quite well with Gabe. I told you we would be back. As ever since the music box prank, they've been getting closer and closer, with him being the only one to stay after the sea cave incident. This all leads to Kinsey, still with no fear or self-control, proposing that she be with both Scott and Gabe. Evidently, with her literally unable to make up her mind, has to have Scott turn her down, because he doesn't deserve this. After everything she's done up to this point, she pushes away Scott from day one, and he's only tried to help her. You would think that you, I, or anyone would hate this character, but everything we see we can forgive, as Kinsey only wanted to be not afraid, and didn't understand the consequences of removing her fear. And we understand that all the bad stuff she did, she literally couldn't help it. And even without her impulse control, she eventually feels guilty, and regrets everything that she's done, resolving her character arc quite nicely in my opinion. Tyler's arc is a lot simpler, with less moving parts, as his conflict revolves around him blaming himself for their father's death, as we learn later that the killer is from their old school and a friend to Tyler, who offhandedly asks him if he's going to kill his own father. He can kill his as well. Tyler sees himself playing the father role, especially after the keys are discovered. Being the oldest, he remembers their father differently from the siblings, as they were fighting just before his death, causing him to shut out others and be controlling at times. With good reason, after all, since Kinsey abuses the keys on multiple occasions. getting into a fight with Tyler as he disavows the magic leading to the cave incident. However, when the killer returns and a fight ensues, he learns that Sam, the killer, was being manipulated and killed Randall for other reasons, not even remembering their brief interaction about killing their dads.
Tyler, I screwed everything up. Oh my God. Oh shit. I didn't want to kill Mr. Locke. I didn't. I just wanted to find the keys for her. Dad? I think I said to you about my dad. Had nothing to do with it.
You ever do decide to kill your dad, do me a favor. Kill mine while you're at it.
What did you say to me? Doesn't matter.
Speaking of which, even Sam, the guy who killed their father, is very well written himself, as in later episodes we discover his abusive home life, and that Randall basically told Tyler to befriend him at school due to how troubled he was, but this leads Dodge to manipulate him, telling him about the secret, setting him off, and now working for her and aiding in her search. But after a confrontation with the Locks, Sam finds out that Tyler really did see him as a friend.
Doesn't matter. I thought you were my friend, but you lied to me. You and your dad, you both lied to me. Yeah, my dad pushed me to hang out with you to try and help you. I actually liked you, and we were friends. You showed up at my house. My God! She thought I was special. That she cared about me.
With ultimately Dodge betraying him, and as the police arrive, he accidentally runs through the ghost door. With the police closing the door, Sam is left as a ghost, presumably forever. Even with all that, when he gets his comeuppance, you can't really not feel bad for him, as he was a troubled kid who was manipulated into doing bad things, leading to that very same person betraying him, leaving him for dead. Bodhi is the most static character in the cast. However, despite the stereotype of bad-shirted actors, Jackson Robert Scott, who also played Georgie in the It films, is probably the best of the lot, as Bodhi is the most proactive character, finding all the keys and taking responsibility of protecting the family on himself, as he is the only one who is able to hear the keys whisper, at first at least. But not for lack of trying, as he tries to get Kinsey and Tyler on the same page. However, they constantly shut him out as they believe that they are protecting him, even though Bodhi is the most active in the show. Overall, my praises for the show are very self-evident. However, there are some logical inconsistencies and lack of foresight when it comes to the writing. Some examples being the music key in box being too powerful, so they write it out of the climax despite us knowing that the Locks have it in their possession. The flower key treading the same ground as the head key, only worse. A better solution would be to use the head key in order to see Duncan's memories that would be literally locked away. The ghost key not being used more often to gather information from the Lock's ancestor after his introduction, as Tyler and Kinsey probably don't even know that he's there, as they just brush Brody off when he tells them. This scene Dodge walking over and just taking the gun out of Nina's hand. The fact that Tyler gets the Anywhere key, only to lose it seconds later. However, despite these flaws, the world and characters more than make up for that in my opinion. Speaking of which, I don't think there's a character I don't like in this show. They're all very excellent for their purposes, and I would be sad if any of them were to be axed. The reason I made a comparison between this and Stranger Things earlier, other than the similarities in the premise, is that after season 1, Stranger Things fell off substantially, getting worse and worse by the season, up until season 4 brought it back up in my eyes. When I watched Locke and Key, it was haphazardly, as I'd taken up the hobby of just watching wherever I can recently, and I was thoroughly impressed with what I saw, as one of the biggest gripes I had with Stranger Things is the kids. Our main characters end up doing nothing, spinning their wheels for the most part of seasons 2 and 3, with some exceptions always reacting to what's going on instead of being proactive, like we're in season 1, Dustin excluded of course. But that remains for another time. For now, I am very happy with Locke and Key, as I've just finished season 1 as I write the script, and I just hope that quality continues into season 2.